Ready? Okay. Calling the meeting to order, March 21st, 2024. The notice of meeting posted on March 15th, 2024. Roll call, Eric.
Yes, the members of the planning commission today are Rob Murray, Charles DeFuria, Ms. Denise Patterson,
Here.
Jennifer Craig,
Here.
Greg Davidson,
Here.
and Colton Murphy is sitting in for Commissioner Davidson.
Here.
Approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes on February 15th, 2024? If so, are there any questions? Can I get a motion of approval?
I move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
And a second. Roll call, Eric.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. DeFuria,
Yes.
Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Ms. Craig,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action to approve or deny the general plat of Waterloo Ridge Estates, GP 2024-02. Eric, staff report?
Yes, so I'll try to give a brief summary of this property. I know we've gone over this in the past. Mr. Murray may be the only one who's not aware just because he's the newest member. But this particular piece of property is located off of Waterloo, about a half mile west of Coltrane on the south side of Waterloo. Originally, this piece of property was zoned as a special use permit back in 1985, and it had sit there for many, many, many years dormant. And someone came along and picked it up and wanted to develop that special use permit. And throughout that process, the neighbors to the west and others had gotten involved to where they had sued the developer at that time, stating that that special use permit was no longer valid. As time moved on, the court sided with the folks that are out there adjacent to this property and ordered that the special use permit be vacated. So it was vacated, and we moved forward from there. From that point, they came back in 2023. I want to say it was in the middle of last year. They rezoned the property to what is R0, which is our densest zoning category for residential. Now, with that being said, you can see there on the screen that the lot size they're proposing are half acre. They are going to have access to Logan County rural water, but they don't have access to sewer. So that limits the size of the lots. So that's why you see what you see there. So there's approximately 55 lots that are part of this general plat. I do just want to make this note that I'm going to make is really more in regards to the next phase of the project, which is the preliminary plat. But we've been in contact with the engineer on the project as far as dealing with the infrastructure that is currently out there. As you can see, the roads have been built. A lot of the drainage has already been installed, and it's been sitting there. It was basically built before the court case came to be. So it's been sitting out there for several years now. And so we're getting with the engineer to make sure that the roads are built to our condition, our standards, make sure that the drainage and everything is still up to par. So those are things that we're still currently working on. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. But this particular case is just the approval of the general plat, just the overall design that you see in front of you.
Eric, has Stacy looked at that? And as far as those two accesses to Waterloo, are they too close together, or does it meet the specs?
No, it does meet our requirements. When this was initially done, it was a development that was called Summerfield. And so they were under our regulation at that point with what they're wanting to do with the mobile homes that were proposed at that point in time. So as far as the entrances, distance, offset from each other, the roads, all of that was still under our regulation. So there's really no issue with what's there as far as design wise. Really, the issue for us is, were the roads built to our standards? Typically, we do that through testing, drilling of cores, testing once everything is put out there. asphalt and everything. So those are things that we're still working on just to make sure that it meets our standards. But to your question, yes, it was built to our regulation.
That was a staff report. We'll show the record that somebody was late to the meeting. Hey, Eric.
Hey,
So we're still on item number 5?
yes.
Okay. Is there anybody here who would like to talk in favor of this project? If you would state your name and address, please.
Absolutely. I'm Mitchell Moore with Johnson and Associates, 1 East Sheridan Avenue. Like Eric said, we're still working through some things with the roads on this property. It's a pretty unusual case, but those are all things that will be taken care of before we come back to you all with the preliminary plat. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you all have anything for me.
Any questions for the gentleman? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Anybody here who'd like to talk against this project? If you would come up and name and address, please.
My name is Greg Ripple. I live 2200 Chiswick Road in Edmond. That's my house over there, just opposite the southwest corner of the project. I'm not necessarily here to talk against the project, but I do have a question of the gentleman. Eric mentioned that you're still looking at the drainage
Sir,
project.
you need to address.
I'm sorry. This drainage structure at the southwest corner of the project has been a problem since it was put in. It drains about 16, 17 acres of the west part of this project. Previous to it being built and the work being done, the water came through the fence all along the west side. Now it's all been concentrated and dumped in that southwest corner. And it is a continuing problem to this day, especially when we have heavy rain. I understand that stormwater permits and that thing are the purview of the DEQ, but we are still receiving a lot of sediment off of this project to this day. And I was just curious, there has been some talk of turning that area into a playground, joint use type of area, but I was just curious if any discussion had been made of exactly what is going to be done with that drainage structure.
So just to clarify, you're talking the south, don't touch, but it's point. Yeah. Right there. Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions for this gentleman? Thank you. Anybody else who would like to talk? Let me make sure that nobody else wants this. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Sir, would you like to address that question?
Yeah, like we said, we're still working through making sure that the drainage and streets are up to the code, or up to the county standards, and that will all be taken care of and addressed prior to coming back to you all with the preliminary plat. So.
Hold on. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you. Any other questions for Eric?
I just wanted to kind of expand, maybe help answer Mr. Ripple's question. I mean, on our side at least, they're going to have to submit drainage calculations for what's out there. We're going to go back and look at that. We're going to take, because we were out there a couple of times during the construction of this. So we're going to take that into consideration. It may be one of those things where this pond maybe needs to be deeper or wider, whatever the case may be. It's something that we're going to have to take a look at. So I don't want Mr. Ripple to think that we're ignoring his comments. This is something that we haven't gotten to or not at that stage yet. That's something we're going to get in the preliminary plat. We've had those conversations already. So just keep following us and hopefully we'll get his issue resolved.
I've got one more. What's in common area A?
So most of the common areas that are on here are going to be for drainage. Now, this particular one is mostly drainage. You know, you could also maybe put a park in there. I mean, it's possible. But mostly it's drainage. This is the big pond that's there to retain water.
Okay, so that, and when it runs north to south, common area A, like from Waterloo down to the southwest corner, that's all drainage there?
So if I recall correctly, you're gonna have drainage that goes from kind of south, I'm sorry, from north to south to west. So not all of this property drains to that corner, just a portion of it does. There's also a portion of this that drains back to the east. So it's not all goes to that corner, but the
Well, I'm not
majority
talking
of
about
it
the
is.
corner, I'm talking about common area A. Is it labeled on there? I'm looking at,
That kind of like a green belt area?
common area A, it's like on the west side.
Probably like a green belt area.
Okay. So that's not drainage, that's a green belt, is that what it is?
Hold on, I'm slow.
It's gonna be just 50 foot line.
I see what you're saying. So there's a pipeline, it's a pipeline easement.
Oh,
It's an ONG pipeline. There's a 50-foot easement that's there. I see. Sorry. Yes, that's what it is. So basically, once we found out what was there, which was the natural gas pipeline, they've used that. The developers decided to use that as a buffer. So they're going to have, I think right now there may be a berm out there to some degree. I know there was discussion of planting trees. So I know that was there. That was the discussion at the time. So that's something that'll have to be rehashed as we move forward. But it's mostly an easement.
Any other questions for Eric? With that said, I'll entertain a motion to approve slash deny item number 5, discussion and possible action to approve slash deny the general plat of Waterloo Ridge Estates.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Roll call, Eric?
Yes, Mr. Murray, Mr. DeFuria,
aye.
Mr. Talbot,
Yes.
Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Gregg, Ms. Gregg, Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Aye. Motion approved. Item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve slash deny a zoning change from R2 Rural Residential District to Planned Unit Development PUD 2024-01 at 20400 North Portland Avenue. Staff report?
Yes, sir. So this particular piece of property is similar in some regards as the PUD that is directly next to it to the south. If you recall, towards the beginning of this year, there was a case in front of the Planning Commission regarding that PUD. They're asking for very similar activities on the property, so they're wanting to basically have access or be able to do all the commercial activities in this PUD, but they also want to be able to do industrial moderate, industrial heavy. They're also wanting to do outside storage that they want to limit it to the north half of the property. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have the applicant speak to this, but if I'm not mistaken, I think the property owner that owns the property directly to the north where you see the personal storage facility, they also have outside storage of boats, RVs, those sort of things. And so from my understanding, there's a potential to where they want to bring that further south, continue that use on further south for the north half of this property. So that's why that provision is here. One thing that is a little bit different compared to the PUD to the south is in the PUD to the south, they had a couple of provisions in there for billboard type signs, non-accessory signs. This particular PUD, this applicant, they're not asking for that. So that was really the big difference between these particular parcels and the PUDs themselves for what they're asking for. Besides that, the PUD is going to be governed by the commercial general zoning. So all of the screening, lighting, parking, all of that's going to be regulated by that particular category. And so it's pretty straightforward as far as what they're asking for. Pretty much everything else falls in line with commercial general category. Like I said, it's just those couple of industrial uses that they're wanting to add. That's all I had, unless you had any particular questions.
I don't remember if we asked this with the other PUD, but is this going to be a right-hand turn only coming out of there? Because
Well,
can we
that's
require that?
it's a good question, but The only issue is Portland is an ODOT facility, so we're not gonna be able to enforce a lot of stuff. So as far as if it's, right turn only or left turn only, that's really gonna be enforced by ODOT. My initial thought is it probably would be right turn only, but we really hadn't gotten to that point. Once they submit a permit for what they're wanting to put out there. I mean, obviously, as an example, if it's a continuation of the storage facility that's there, more than likely you may not have access off of Portland. So it really just depends on what they're wanting to put there at the end of the day, because ODOT's going to have to approve driveway access for anything along their facility. Any signs that you put up out there, accessory and non-accessory, ODOT's going to have input because that's their facility that we're adjacent to. So they're going to have to meet not only our requirements for some issues, but then ODOT's going to chime in on some other ones.
Any other questions for Eric? Is there anybody here who'd like to talk in favor of this project? Name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Austin Ham, 522 Cold Court Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. I'll try to spare you hearing everything Mr. Brandt just shared, but this is basically bringing this area into conformance with the other existing commercial uses. It's commercial use to the north and to the south. You have a sewage treatment plant to the west, and then the rural acreage to the east. This is the last little piece here in between these other two existing commercial uses, so we're just bringing it into conformity with the area and think it matches the surrounding uses. Happy to answer any questions and ask for your support.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone here to talk against this project? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve/deny item number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 6.
I'll second. Roll call?
Mr. Murray? Mr. DeFuria? Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
Ms. Patterson?
Yes.
Ms. Craig? Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Motion approved. Item number 7, discuss possible action to receive the February 2024 fee fund and expense report. What do you got for us, Eric?
If you take a look, you'll notice a large increase. And what that is from is you see last month compared to the months before it, it's considerably more. And the reason for that is we were able to finally process application for the Deer Creek school that's being built out there off of 206th and Meridian. And so that's what that is. So as you can see, we're finally back into the black. We're about 9,000 above zero. so to this point, we're doing better. We'll see how that goes. We don't know of anything big coming along at this point, so we'll see what happens.
So you're saying the school that they're using, we just processed? Or,
So they're building a new school.
okay, so it's, all right.
Yeah, they're on 206. It's across from the elementary school to the west. I think it's supposed to be for 4th and 5th grade, if I understand correctly.
It's just confused. It's like they've been using that building. We just processed
Oh
it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's the new one. I don't know if they've broken ground. I haven't been out there as of yet. Okay.
we're going to need a bigger circle. Anyhow,
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to receive the fee fund report.
I'll make a motion to receive it.
Second?
Roll call, Eric.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. DeFuria, Mr. Talbot,
Yes.
Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Ms. Craig, Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Item number 8, new business. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Section 3119, new business is defined as any matter not known about or which could not be reasonably foreseen prior to the time of posting of this agenda. Eric, any new business?
No, sir.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Roll call, Eric?
Mr. Murray, Mr. DeFuria, Mr. Talbot,
Yes.
Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Ms. Craig, Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Give us a second here. just set up for floodplain.
Mhm. Is that all of us? Sure, look at them run. Are you welcome? We'll see you. That's one good way. We had one of these before?
You haven't.
August second, where were you? I wasn't here. Yeah. Okay, it is 1:50. It is 1:51. Let's go ahead and call to order the Oklahoma County Floodplain Management Board, room 204, March 21st, 2024. Notice of this meeting was posted on March 15th, 2024. Eric, roll call, please.
Yes, the members of the floodplain management board are Mr. DeFuria,
Here.
Mr. Rob Talbot,
Here.
Miss Denise Patterson,
Here.
Miss Jennifer Craig, and Mr. Greg Davidson.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. With item number 4, approval of minutes of the previous meeting, July 21st, 2022, and August 2nd, 2022. Everybody's gotten a copy of these. Everybody has had a chance to look at them. Is there any updates or changes?
You'll probably have to vote
I know.
on each.
Hearing none, I'll have a motion to approve the minutes for July 21st. I move to approve the minutes for July 21st. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Eric. Mr. DeFuria. Aye. Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Ms. Patterson.
Yes.
Ms. Craig. And Mr. Davidson.
Yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for August 2nd, 2022. I make a motion to approve the minutes for August 2nd, 2022. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Eric?
Mr. DeFuria. Aye. Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Ms. Patterson.
Yes.
Ms. Craig. And Mr. Davidson.
Yes. Okay, item number 5, discussion and possible action to approve / deny a development permit DP 2024-02. Staff, Eric?
Yes. So what the applicant is wanting to do in this particular case, as you can see, he's provided us a cross section of this. Basically, he's gonna dig a big hole. At the end of the day is what it boils down to, but basically the depth of this, from my understanding, is gonna be about 15 feet deep. The area that he's depicted there is the approximate area which he's gonna do this in. The material itself, as you can see, all the site there is in the floodway, just not only the floodplain, but the floodway. And so I want to point that out just because there's different requirements depending on the area that you're in. And so in this particular case, at least, because he's not affecting the creek to the north, really the only thing he has to do is come to us for approval before he gets started. Typically, if you're in the creek out there or you're changing the base flood elevation up and downstream of this particular location, then you have to go through a process through FEMA conditional letter of map revision. Once the project itself is done, then you would have to do a letter of map revision. In this case, like I said, he's just digging a big hole. From my understanding, all the material that he takes from this area is going to be taken off-site, potentially for other projects. And at the end of the day, it's just going to be a big pond that's going to be there. At what he's described, at the end of the day, from my understanding, this is probably going to take 5-10 years to accomplish getting all this material out of there. One of the reasons behind this is potentially he's wanting to put 4 home sites along this pond once everything is said and done towards the front along 178th. And so if that's something that he gets to do or he's able to do once this is done, essentially the material that he's taken out of there, he's adding storage to the floodway by digging this hole. So as an example that he's kind of provided to me is think of it as a big bathtub. So he's digging out the hole for the water to go into. As he puts the homes in there, it's going to raise the water back to its original condition as it is today, as natural land. So he's taking enough dirt out there to where when he puts the homes in there, at whatever point in time, or if he does it at all, he has enough storage out there to where the net effect is essentially zero. It's not going to have any effect up or downstream. That's really all I have about what he's wanting to do there. Now, I know we've had some phone calls from folks that have got noticed. I know he's taken an opportunity to talk to some of those folks. Um, Kind of the biggest concern that we heard was just maintenance of this. And so it's just like any other pond. I mean, it's up to the property owner to maintain that. We don't really have any regulations as far as the maintenance, mowing it and making sure that it looks nice. That goes beyond our purview. But, he's a property owner just like anybody else is out there. I think the goal at the end of the day, according to Mr. Ritchie, is he wants to have a well out there that feeds that pond to some degree. Obviously, it's not going to be full all the time, especially when you're in periods of drought. But he's a property owner. His home actually is just north and east of there, so he's real close to the property. So he wants to make it as look as nice as anybody else's property. But that was kind of the biggest concern of property maintenance over the long term.
Is this going to help keep Rockwell from flooding?
Yeah, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
And the reason for that is one, just the size of it, how far away it is. Now, it's funny that you mentioned Rockwell because he's done something similar there on Rockwell. The difference in this case is on 178, if you drive out there, you'll notice that there's a pretty good drop off 178 to where as water comes onto this property or fills this ponds up, that kind of acts like a dam. That incline there acts like a dam to where on Rockwell, if you've noticed, it's just flat all the way across. And so as soon as you get to that water capacity point to where you overtop, it's much less that point on Rockwell than this particular location. So yes, unfortunately, this isn't going to help solve that problem.
The cows will still swim in that property. Okay.
So Eric, what's, like at the bottom there, it looks like, gravel driveway there. What is that? Is that just a?
That's where he's going to be coming in off the property. You're right. It's going to be a gravel driveway. There's an existing barn that goes to now. So that little gravel drive will go to that existing barn. As time goes on, if he's able to put houses out there, if he gets to that point, this particular access is going to be a shared access between those. So not only it's going to be used for construction, or in this case, removing the dirt from the area, but eventually it'll be used as an access point when he builds homes out there.
Any other questions for Eric? Anyone here would like to talk in favor of this?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Mark Ritchie. I'm the applicant.
Address too, please.
I live at 18755 North Rockwell Avenue, just about a half mile from the site. I'm happy to answer any questions. If it helps at all, my background is I'm a civil engineer and a land surveyor. So I've looked at this in all the different angles.
I got a question. I'm just kind of curious, how many cubic yards of dirt are you going to move?
It's approximately 600,000 if the 15-foot depth works out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bunch.
So you live just north.
Correct.
You the guy that does all the car shows?
No, that's my neighbor,
That's your
Frank
neighbor.
Roberts. Yeah, I
Okay.
bought the land from, he was a previous owner.
Gotcha.
Yeah, great guy.
I think the county's getting ready to do something with that bridge right there, are they not? Is that gonna affect elevation of anything?
No, actually, we just acquired some additional, did we acquire right away? Okay. Yeah, we just acquired some additional right of way from the property owners that are out there. So that's not gonna really affect his project one way or the other, but we did acquire.
As a coincidence, last week was the bid for that project and two of the contractors contacted us to get their material. So we may be actually providing the material for that job.
Nice.
If we're approved today.
Any questions for the gentleman? Thank you, sir. Anyone here who'd like to talk against this project? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, Eric?
Mr. DeFury. Aye. Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Ms. Patterson.
Yes.
Ms. Craig. Mr. Davidson.
Yes.
Motion approved. Item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve/deny revisions to the Oklahoma County floodplain regulations.
So the reason this item is in front of you is because FEMA has changed some maps in Oklahoma County. Those maps that were changed were not in our jurisdiction. They're actually in the city of Oklahoma City towards the southern end of the county. But whenever there's map revisions, we have to update our regulations. So in our case, we added some additional definitions that FEMA wanted us to add. We added a severability clause towards the end of the document. We just updated the portion of the maps that are being added, the dates in which they're formal, which is March the 27th. We also kept the dates of our current maps that we go by, which are 2019, 2018. 2018. So we're still moving forward. Like I said, none of our maps have changed at this point, but like I said, FEMA just requires this if there's any maps that are changed in our jurisdiction. So those were the changes that we made. Overall, the document has stayed the same.
Any questions for Eric? Is there anybody here who wants to talk against or for this? Anybody want to talk against? Hearing and seeing none on either side, I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 6.
Motion to approve item number 6.
I'll second. Roll call?
Mr. DeFuria? Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
Ms. Patterson?
Yes.
And Ms. Craig? And Mr. Davidson?
No.
It's always one. Motion approved. Okay. New business. In accordance with the Opens Meeting Act, Section 311.9, new business is defined as any matter not known about which could not have reasonably been foreseen prior to the time of posting this agenda. Any new business, Eric?
No, sir.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, roll call?
Mr. DeFuria? Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
Ms. Patterson?
Yes.
Ms. Craig? Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
We're adjourned.
You're not gonna say no?
No. I don't want to start. Anything FEMA wants to revise, it's probably not good in my book.
Okay. Well, fortunately, they didn't change. That you have to.
You guys had it all passed anyway.
So see the guy doing that project just up in, north on Portland, or Rockwell? Somebody dug a big hole, and they just keep moving dirt around. You know what I'm talking about?
That's his. On
No,
Rockwell,
on Rockwell.
just to the north of Edmond Road. Sits back there on the west side. That's his. That's his.
What's he doing? I heard him moving dirt.
He's got a house back in there.
Okay, so he's out of the way.
Yeah, but it's got soil pumps in it. Okay, so he's using this. We trying to figure out what, nothing about care, but you drive by it, you're like, at one point, we thought maybe he was gonna build a house on the middle, because there was an island of dirt there, and we thought he was gonna have a moat.
Like a moat?
Yeah.
Drawbridge.
Exactly. Your mind goes in many places when you get.
Sure.
And I'm not joking, but just south of that, on the other side of the creek, those cows will, there's so much water on that property that it goes up. That they get sold on that. Is that what he bought?